What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 101. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011. You can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the chat if you're a subscriber over there. We'd love to have you join in on the conversation. If you can't catch it live, that's a-okay. And go over to YouTube the very next week. We're smoking out topic by topic and put as one big video for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, you guys can now get this podcast on podcast format. Well, for podcast areas, Jesus, I don't even know. Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, we're all there. Hopefully Apple Podcasts soon, so you can check it out, give it a listen over there while you're at work, on your drive, whatever you'd like to. However you support the show is greatly appreciated. So yes, we are back. We're in the next set of 100 episodes here. 101, it's a big one. Big next step, obviously, for the show. I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. Episode 100 was a lot of fun. Obviously, the rest were a lot of fun. But topic one today is going to be some changes about the podcast. Now, after I get this all said and done, you're probably going to be like, Bret, what the hell was that intro? Because most of that's not true anymore. Well, some of it isn't true anymore. So I've been racking my brain. Obviously, I enjoy doing this podcast along with other podcasts. And I've been kind of thinking of like, okay, how do I take this to the next level? Or how do I want to improve it, try and work on it, things like that. So starting next episode of the podcast, 102, some things are going to change scheduling wise for at least the live recording stuff and the frequency of how many episodes you're going to get. If you're watching this on YouTube or giving a listen on podcast services, absolutely nothing changes for you. Everything's still going to be broken out into pieces on YouTube throughout the week, and on Fridays the full video and MP3 will still be released as normal. But the change is I'd like to try out at least a weekly show. Now, as of like what we've been doing every other Saturday, we've been doing every other week just because it's fit with my schedule, and it's been relatively easy to do. But I understand having a product like that where it's consistent, but it's not as consistent as some people maybe would like it, and it kind of stays on like the top of your mind of like, oh, this is coming up. Like a weekly show, you typically can probably keep track of a little bit more than maybe something happens every other week or is a bigger stretch of time in between. So I'm trying to think of like, how can we get new members of the audience? How can we expand it, etc.? So I'm thinking weekly podcasts. Let's give it a try. So like I said, it is going to be a trial, but starting next episode 102, I'm going to be starting to record these podcasts on Sunday at 8 p.m. instead of Saturday at 8 p.m. Now, for those of you guys who listen to my other podcast, Marvel Plus podcast, you're like, wait, that's the same time. Yes, I'm going to be shifting some things around there. I think I'll be doing Marvel maybe an hour earlier and then kind of roll right into the Wait What podcast and go from there. So yeah, we're going to give it a try there and record it on Sundays, do the live stuff. Like I said, everything will release for audiences who don't watch it live, same time. It will just obviously be more frequent with it being the weekly stuff. Speaking of, if you are a new audience member giving this to a listen, maybe the first time on Stitcher and Spotify, etc., first of all, welcome. Thanks for giving this a chance. Thanks for your time. RSS feeds are weird. It took me a while to figure them out. First off, procrastination's a bitch. I should have done that sooner. But apparently, RSS feeds don't fully update your backlog. So obviously, this is episode 101. Where's episode 1 on some of these feeds, you might be asking yourself? Good question. I think the Google guys got, or maybe it was Spotify, one of the feeds got lucky and got at least from episode 70 on. But yeah, obviously I'd like all those episodes from 1 to the current episode to be available to you without having to go search another avenue and go out of your way. So if you're joining us now, appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for following, liking, all those things. I have some work to do, and you might be getting a lot of notifications soon. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-upload through SoundCloud Fresh Start now that everything's connected with their RSS feeds to feed to a Spotify feed to a Stitcher, a Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. I want to make sure all those episodes are available. So I have to, as far as I know, is I'm going to clean SoundCloud, squeaky clean, and start from the beginning. And literally upload 1, 2, 3, blah, 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 all the way up to 100. So like I said, you're going to be getting a lot of notifications. So if you're following right now, I do apologize. Thank you for your patience. And if you're listening to in the future, hey, you weathered the storm. You didn't have to deal with this, but thanks for popping in anyways. But yeah, I'm glad that we're finally out on these audio formats. I've been meaning to do it for a while, and like I said, just me with procrastinating and, you know, life being life, I never expanded out to those avenues. I'm really glad we're able to now. If you are listening on one of those platforms, if you can subscribe, if you could like, if you could leave a review, it helps our show obviously expand to more ears. Give it a listen, or even just share it with friends. Anyone you think would enjoy it, that just helps out a lot. It means a lot to me. So like I said, if you enjoy it, if you could share it, that'd be great. So yeah, weekly show, RSS feeds. With the show being weekly, the goal here is, obviously we'll get the 4 episodes a month minimum. The goal is to do 2 solo and 2 with a guest. I love doing the episodes with having guests on because obviously it's a new perspective in on the conversation, and it's always a fun time chatting with them, whether it's for the first time or for a repeat time, and tackling their topics, because I don't know if you guys know, usually we don't share topics prior to the podcast, so it's a, you know, right off the bat, just tip of the tongue, what do we feel about these topics, and it kind of makes it exciting and a little bit more interesting. So I'd like to continue bringing guests on, once again, whether it's new people that I haven't talked to, maybe in the Kind of Funny community or somewhere else, or bringing guests back on. I'd love to have, obviously we had Billy and John return last week after a long time, have them on, have Dio back on, have other members of the Kind of Funny community who have been on before, have other friends who maybe don't live locally anymore, have them back on as a return. But yeah, I feel those episodes add a little bit of variety, a little bit more spice to the podcast. So if we keep doing that, that would be great. So ideally, I'd like to do 2 and 2. I know scheduling's a whole thing, so if it happens, it happens. And then if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know typically the show, usually 3 topics. Either it'll be my topic, my guest topic, and then like a Q&A or a second topic, or if it's multiple guests, everybody will bring a topic, etc. With us doing it weekly, personally, I might have a tougher time thinking of what to talk about. So if it's a solo episode, unless I can think of multiple things that I really want to talk to in that moment, there's a chance that it might be only a 2-topic show. So shows will be a little bit shorter. For when the guest is on, I'll try my best to keep it 3 because, like I said, they're bringing something else to the table. So at least that makes it a little bit easier for me. Especially if they're on for the first time, you'll definitely always get 3 because I do like doing the lightning round questions with them just so you kind of get to know them a little bit better. It's just a fun little icebreaker too. But that's typically going to be the plan. So if it's a solo podcast, a little bit shorter, maybe 2 topics. And then if it's a guest, your hour typical, maybe a little bit more if we really get into the conversation and have those 3 topics or more, obviously, if there's more guests. So yeah, there's that. I think that's everything pretty much that's going to be changing. So nothing terrible, quote unquote. The only thing that's really being affected, recap, recordings are now going to be Sundays, every Sunday at 8. This is going to start with episode 102, which will be in October, which I'll put on social media, so don't worry, you'll know in advance as well there. So that is changing. There will be a podcast every week. That will be changing on YouTube and your podcast services. And then shorter podcasts if it's a solo. Those are really the only 3 changes. Like I said, RSS feeds, I still have some work to do, so please be patient with me there of getting the past episodes on there for you guys so you have the catalog to go back and listen to if you would like to, without obviously giving you guys more work than needed. But yeah, that's just my thoughts and ideas. And like I said as well, this is all going to be a trial period. Like I said, it's nice to go into these things with like the intention of like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. But you got to see obviously how it plays out. Like, is it too much stress? Is it too much work? Blah, blah, blah. So we'll try it out. If it goes well, works out, sweet, we'll keep it up. If not, as always, I'll have an open communication with you guys of like, hey, this didn't work, but thanks for joining for the ride, and we'll go back and revert to the every other week type schedule there. But yeah, if you guys have any feedback as well about the podcast, maybe stuff you like, stuff you don't like, something that isn't working out, let me know. Especially with, the audio guys. I know it's a whole new avenue of tackling that. Yes, we had the SoundCloud stuff, but now obviously we're reaching out a little bit farther to more participants, more viewers, so maybe I can get more feedback there. I don't know. But just wanted to kind of cover that for topic 1 today of like, hey, here's the goal of this. Let's see what we're going to do. Here's some changes. So thank you guys for letting me chat about that and kind of keep you guys updated. Moving on to topic number 2, I wanted to talk about some video games that I've been playing. Last week I kind of alluded to it, that I've been really enjoying my time with a game called Hades. So with that, I wanted to talk more about Hades. I know I kind of went in a little bit in depth with it last week, so I don't want to, nag your ear off with that or whatever. So I also want to talk about some other games that I have been playing. But we'll start off with Hades. Hades I've been really enjoying, having a lot of fun with. I won't talk any spoilers or anything, but it's been a blast playing Hades. It took me by surprise. I've had a lot of friends speak their opinions about the games and try and recommend it to me earlier on when it was on just the Switch and PC, but I was like, nah, I don't know if it's for me. But gradually over time, seeing obviously the amount of positive reception it's been getting, I was like, okay, it's finally time to give it a try once it got released over on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox side of things. So I grabbed it for PS4, and I've been playing this almost nonstop. And by nonstop, I mean like every weekend that I have free, like that's typically a game that I'm popping in there, and I'll play it for a good few hours. I don't know what it is about it. It must be the gameplay, just the gameplay loop. It's so addicting. I haven't felt a game really hook into me this way and, make me think and am excited to just like sit down and play it again in a little while. Not to say like other games aren't interesting or anything, but this one's really had something for me. And with the gameplay, I think the thing that makes it so interesting is just the amount of, not creativity, but the amount of randomness in a good way of how your runs can go. So if you don't know what Hades is about, it's a roguelite, which means essentially you're going to play through the levels, you're going to try and make it to the end goal, but if you die or lose or whatever, you essentially reset and restart at the beginning, fresh start. Now, I can understand how that can be frustrating, at least in concept to think about. And surprisingly, it's not. The thing about these games is even if you lose, you gain something out of the experience, and not just like, oh, I did that for 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is. You're either going to learn things that make you better for the next run, whether it's yourself or in game, there'll be skills that you learn. So in Hades, the progression that you can make is you will gather resources each run, each attempt that you try and complete the game. There's a wide variety of different resources. Some allow you to build upgrades in the actual levels to help you out, progress, and complete things easier. There'll be a resource that will help your character get stronger, so maybe increase their attack power, or allows you to dash more, increases your mobility, increases your special, whatever it is. You'll get resources like that. You'll get resources like gold that will help you only specifically in that run, but can help upgrade your weapons or upgrade skills you might have or get health upgrades, whatever it is, it will help you specifically during that time. And taking the things you learn there, whether it's these resources to improve your character, or just the information you learn about certain enemy characters. Like, okay, this enemy is going to attack this certain way or has this certain weakness. You can use that information and bring it to your next run and hopefully, you know, progress farther and make it further along in the game to reach your goal. And I think another thing about Hades is the runs, the attempts, not all that long. I think the longest I've spent on a run, and this was to completion, so granted, you know, take that with a grain of salt, was about 40 minutes. So even if you are losing per se, it's really not that long. Like, it doesn't feel that short when you're playing it, which is kind of weird because you'll look at the clock and like, oh shit, it's only been, you know, the half hour, whatever it is. Like, it invests you in so much that you don't think about the time, but then when you're done with it, it's not all that much time is lost at all. I don't know if that makes sense at all. I apologize. It's not something that you're spending hours upon hours upon hours in to reset. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. So it's nice. Now, I mentioned completing a run in 40 minutes. Another thing about this game that is interesting is the story. You are the son of Hades, and your goal is to escape hell. You're trying to get out of there just for your own sanity. You don't want to be there anymore. And by doing these escape attempts and eventually escaping, you will learn that unfortunately there's something holding you back in hell that doesn't fully allow you to escape. But you will learn of another objective that makes you want to keep escaping to kind of get more information out of this goal. I'm trying to be really vague here, so you know, there's no spoilers. And you follow up with those escape attempts. The nice thing is you have to do it multiple times, and that story is intriguing enough that it never feels like, oh God, I already did the escape. Why am I doing this again? It's rewarding for you to keep doing it. And along with the reset of yourself in each attempt is different. Now, there's a couple factors similar to the resources that kind of allow for this to be different and unique enough where it doesn't feel like it's grinding per se in like certain games where like, oh, I really need to get XP for my character. Well, I'll do this same battle over and over again, or I'll kill this same enemy. This game doesn't really feel like that because each run is unique enough that it doesn't drag along. Things that they do well that allow this to play out that way is, one, your character's weapon set. When you do start the game, you are going to start with just the sword. But gradually, as you progress, you're going to unlock more weapons to use. So there's a bow and arrow, there's a shield, there's a spear, there's other weapons that you can use, which is fun to play with. Each has their own attacks. They all control the same, but they each have their own, unique animations or way to use them, etc. So along with each weapon individually has 3 to 4 variations of their weapon that you can use. So small changes that like allow you to do different things with that weapon, and that makes it a lot of fun. So the weapons are a blast, and there's some weapons that I prefer over others, but I don't think there's a weapon that really I'm like, ugh, just avoiding because it's gross. Like, obviously the controls are different or your strategy is different, but I've never strayed away from a weapon because it's not fun to play. And I think that's a plus too. Another thing that's going to make your attempts fun and unique is, they call them boons, but it's essentially the Olympian gods that you are going to meet along your journey. The reason they help out a lot is they're going to invest in your character and try and help you escape from hell. So they're going to give you essentially powers from them to use. So for example, you meet Zeus. He will give you abilities that are chained to his lightning. So maybe your attack, once you make contact with somebody and deal damage, will chain lightning to another enemy and deal some damage to them. Or maybe when you dash away, a lightning strike will come down and hit your opponent. So there's a wide variety of Olympian gods. I think there's maybe 10 or so that you talk to, and they each have a lot of different boons or abilities that you can learn from them in your run. Another thing that makes it fun along the same line is you can mix and match these powers. Excuse me. So I mentioned the resources that you kind of gather along the way. As you're playing through this game, it's like a room system. So you go into a room, you have enemies there, clear the room, you can proceed from there. You kind of select your path each time you go. So I clear a room, I have two options. Maybe I want to go for this money, or maybe I want to go for Zeus and learn a power from them. And then I choose my door, clear that room, etc., etc. Some rooms will only have a single door that you can go out to. Some will have two. Some will have even three choices that you can kind of build your character up in the move set and in their skill set to kind of attempt to make this escape. And like I said, it provides enough variety that it doesn't feel, once again, like that grind to it that can sometimes detract from games and not make them fun. So yeah, overall, Hades has just been a blast to play. This morning, I finally rolled official credits on it after making so many escape attempts. I do still have the epilogue of it, and I plan on getting the platinum in this game, so getting the trophies in this game, just because I'm so invested in playing it, and it's just fun. It's something... It sounds weird, but turn off your brain, not have to overthink about anything, and just go with the flow and have fun with it. And that's ultimately should be the goal of any game. If it's if it's super taxing and like, oh, I gotta really calculate every move, like, I don't know, that can be fun. I can definitely understand that. Like, you know, the Roller Coaster Tycoon, you're not super critical, but maybe you're planning out things, or SimCity or Sims, or like, I can see how those aspects are fun, but obviously if something goes too far in one direction, kind of loses that enjoyability or enjoyment factor out of it. So this one, really been enjoying. And another game that's come out recently that has a similar roguelite aspect to it that's kind of caught my attention has been Deathloop. Deathloop, as of recording, came out not last Tuesday, but I think the Tuesday prior. I've only played a very small amount of it just because of time, but this game is very intriguing. Very intriguing. I've talked to a couple of coworkers who have played it as well, and they're having a blast with it. And some other members in the online community have had a lot of positive feedback for it. Some of them have finished it already. I'm like, geez, okay, come on. But this game has been a blast in the couple hours that I have played with it, because once again, it allows for this freedom of like how you play, but also the story is just so interesting in like a thought-provoking way of trying to be like, wait a minute, so this thing is going, it's the fun web unweaving of trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in this universe. So if you don't know what Deathloop is about, what's the guy's name? Cole, I think. Oh boy, that I'm already forgetting. I think it's Cole. You wake up on this beach after being murdered from a woman. What? You died and now you're on a beach? Okay, question mark. And you are essentially reliving this one day over and over and over again. And your character is trying to figure out, how the hell do I get out of this loop and move on with my life? So the goal, as Cole, you are trying to get out of this loop, and the only way you can break out of this loop is to eliminate 8 of these visionaries, or like leaders of this island. For some reason, the visionaries have a power that is connected to the loop, the island, etc. Who knows? And by eliminating all of them, it can mess with this thing that's creating the loop and can disrupt it. So, okay, seems simple enough. However, as you're doing this, one of the visionaries is trying to assassinate you. She is chasing you down, and this happens to be the woman that you get killed by at the beginning of the game. Her name is Juliana. She's a fellow assassin. I guess we learned there's some kind of connection between her and Cole. They have some kind of history. But she's trying to maintain this loop. and she will hunt you down, and you have to defend yourself. So the interesting thing about this game is you have to kind of like figure out, okay, what is my plan to get rid of these visionaries and defend myself from her, all in the matter of a single day. The nice thing about this is, once again, this is a game about dying and repeating, similar to Hades where it's attempts, escapes. This one is not. It's similar in ways where you're building up your arsenal, but early on in the game I noticed it's a lot of information building. So you're going to find out either different paths that you can take to attack these visionaries or try and take them out, or certain intel. Maybe certain visionaries are only around during certain parts of the day, or their weaknesses at certain points. So you need to kind of gather these resources to kind of make your ultimate game plan of how you're going to tackle everything. And when you do eventually die or the day resets, once again, it doesn't feel like, I just lost 3 hours of progress. It feels like, okay, what did I learn that run? Okay, I learned person A is going to be over here. Person B is not going to show up until nighttime, but person C has a resource that I need that can make killing person B so much easier, whatever it is. It's fun to kind of maneuver and figure out what your correct path is. And the thing is too, there is no really like correct path. Do you want to be sneaky and stealthy about it? Yeah, go ahead, figure out what path best aligns for you, assassinate the person in the back and peace out into the shadows. Or do you want to be the person that's just running and gunning, shooting every mofo that you see, or kicking them off cliffs, which is very entertaining and satisfying for some sick reason. You can play this how you want to play it, and it's great. Going back to Juliana, excuse me. One other fun aspect that this game has is, like I said, she's trying to hunt you down. She's trying to hunt you down. You can play this game 3 different ways. Juliana's not always going to hunt you down at the same time. She's going to kind of show up at random times. A little music cue will go off, and you can kind of hear her on a radio talking to you. You can either play it where it's just a standard computer, single-player experience, where computer comes after you, does their thing, you fight, etc. Move on. Or there's an online component to this game, where you can either option 2 it, have any random Joe Schmo on the internet come in and try and mess up your day, or you take them out. Or option 3, you can have your friends come in and try and mess up your shit and have some fun with that. I like this option a lot. Obviously you do have to be playing at the same time, so that's a whole thing, but I just like the ability of like a random occurrence happening. Now I can see how this could be frustrating, but just like that organicness happening of like, oh shit, this can happen at any time. Someone's coming in, messing around with you. And if it is your friends only, it's kind of like a little chess game. It's not just some random guy who's MLG at shooters coming in, wrecking your shit, and then peacing out. No, it's with your friends, hopefully. It's at least a little bit more even. And like I said, it's that fun chess game of like, oh crap, okay. So I know Kyle, for example, I know he's really good at really being stealthy with his runs. How can I go into his game and kind of snap him out of it, maybe mess up his system a little bit to kind of have some fun, get him, make him change the way he's playing it, keep him on his toes. So yeah, I just think that's a fun concept. I haven't played it enough where I've run into, obviously, an online player, but I have run into Juliana once of the single player, her being computer, and it just added a little bit more tension to the situation of like, wait, I'm actually being hunted right now? Oh, crap. So yeah, I'm very excited to play more of that game, to kind of learn, obviously, more about the story. I'm very excited to learn more information of like what is going on, what's Cole's background, why is there even a time loop in the first place, and why are the Visionaries so invested in protecting it to keep it going. So yeah, Deathloop's been a lot of fun. And then one other game I've been playing recently I've gotten back into the series, but is NBA 2K22. I haven't played a basketball game in a few years. You know, like most sports games or yearly releases, it's kind of like, all right, same shit, different day, you know? So after you do a couple years back to back, it's like, do I really want this next one? While it is fun, you know, it doesn't really add anything to it. So after taking a couple years off, and obviously with the next generation systems out, I was like, you know what, I want to give it a try. I'm going to hop back in. I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but those games are always fun to play and spend time in. And 2K22, for me personally, has been that. It's been a fun returning back to the series. I focus a lot on the My Player mode. I've been kind of tinkering around with the past couple iterations of the game, the My Team mode. I'd like to invest more into that this year. Not necessarily the online aspects. I know some people in the NBA community, especially with 2K, they get really invested in My Team and they get really invested in My Player, and oh boy, that virtual currency they're spending. Man, RIP their wallets. I know a lot of people really get into those modes, and the online competitive community for that is huge. I don't think I'll ever do that, but I have enjoyed the aspects of My Team that I have played with, creating a team, getting the little cards, and those are the characters you can use, and you got to manage, you know, contract lengths, and you gotta obviously win the games and the little challenges of like, okay, how much can you like build up the little trackers and tokens of like how well your performance was for the game to unlock more stuff. So that part's always been fun. And then My Player has always been a fun game mode in the 2K series, because obviously you're creating create a character and you get to go in and live out your NBA dreams. Some years have definitely been better than others. I can't think of like a specific one, but I know there's been some stronger ones in previous years than this year's. I don't think this year's is bad per se, but there's some things that just, what's the term I'm thinking of? Like, not fan service, but like how I play it doesn't really make it super easy sometimes. So the things I'm talking about, in this year's game, they introduced something called The City, in quotation marks, where it's this big open world part of the game. And essentially that's where you do the online aspects, where you can play, you know, My Players versus My Players 3v3, whatever it is. And you can go around and you can go into stores and buy clothes for your My character or My Player. You can do little drills with them to make them better. You can, so they have this open world area. Okay, cool. That's totally fine. It's an interesting aspect. And they've tied this city into all of your quests. So that's a big thing in this one. It's like RPG almost, where like you have a quest. Okay, go talk to your head coach. Do some training drills with your coach. Go talk to this PR person and, you know, what representative do you want? Go talk to this brand and figure out a deal with them. Okay, cool, fine. The thing that's kind of like takes you out of it is you have to literally travel to all these places. Now, the city's not huge, but you're literally running around the city, or, as they've given us in the launch, is a skateboard where you'll kind of move around faster. But sometimes it's just like, oh my god, I gotta skateboard all the way over here to just talk and go through this cutscene, to then skate go over here to this quest, and it's, when it's a game about basketball, I kind of just want to play the basketball part, which you totally can. Some things, some quests you do have to do early on, but you don't have to do everything. Like, they'll list a bunch of stuff that you can do for like in-game currency. So if you did want in-game currency to earn to improve your character, or just little, oh, I want this t-shirt or whatever it is, you can go do those things, but you don't have to go to those things. I've just noticed with the ones that you have to do early on, I was thinking that a couple times of like, early on in the game, I'm undrafted, I'm still doing like the college circuit, or the G League, there it is, doing that. And so the games aren't as back to back as normal. So you have to talk to this PR guy and then go do this media thing. And it's like, I don't care about this stuff. I get why, you know, it's part of the game to like, ooh, real life, we're tying this in. But it's not super fun. If it just went straight to that cutscene and those dialogue choices, like in between games, totally fine with that. A-okay. But the fact that I have to, no, I can't play a basketball game now. I have to go do this thing. Okay, go travel there, do all that thing, go talk to them, blah, blah, blah. Just like, not super fun to me. Not super appealing. So that would be my little negative gripe about that aspect of the game. Other than that, the game plays like previous years, and that's a lot of fun. Personally, I like the grind of my player of like, ah, shit, I'm missing how many baskets a game, and just boom, 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 just bricking everything. And then when you finally get stuff, you're like, yeah, let's go, you know, hit a 3, hit a 2. I actually blocked a shot. Holy shit. Like, I like that grind of it and eventually building up. I know some people don't like that. Like, I've talked to friends in the past who are like, no, I want to play it and I want to do good. And I get that. Because, like, why be crazy like me and be like, I'm suffering in this game. Bench me, coach. Just take me off. But yeah, I enjoy that aspect of it. I think the presentation this year is a little bit lackluster compared to some years. Like, there's no TNT half show. You don't have Shaq or those guys talking to you anymore. Some of the, like, transition screens are kind of, I do really enjoy the different commentary teams that they have this year. So it's not the same 3-man booth just talking the whole time. I think there's 4 different teams that will cycle from game to game. So that's kind of cool because you kind of get to hear more, obviously more commentary lines and variety there, so that's cool. But yeah, it's been a good time. It's a nice thing to kind of just play and once again turn your brain off, but you know, try and sink some shots in, have a good time. I know it's not going to be for everybody. Like many things, you know, everybody's got their niche of like things they like, but I've been having fun with it and enjoying diving back into it. Hopefully, you know, like I said, with me and investing, quote unquote, investing some time into my team mode, maybe I can get some more out of that and see what everybody's like all up in a tizzy about. Because I know some other sports games have adopted this card collecting, like, create a team type mode. Like, I think MLB The Show has a similar mode that is being played that people really like, and I don't know if FIFA does it, but yeah, just kind of spend some more time with that and go from there. But yeah, that's what I've been playing lately. I just kind of wanted to geek out and talk about that kind of stuff. Say what I've been enjoying playing, because there was a time where I was kind of like in between. I was like, nothing really speaking to me, but I'm kind of back in a good groove, a nice groove of games that I've really connected with, and there's some other games that I want to eventually get to and play. I want to play more Ratchet and Clank, the new one, Rift Apart, that came out, and kind of play through that. Ghost of Tsushima is still on my backlog, and speaking of backlog, that's always just sitting there. So I kind of would like to make some more time to play some stuff, and eventually I have some more time. The second job's going to be wrapping up soon, so I'll have some free time on my hands. But yeah. So yeah, last but not least, we're going to move on to topic 3. As of recording, tomorrow is going to be WWE Extreme Rules, so I wanted to go over the card real quick and talk my thoughts about the show there. I know you're like, oh my god, Bret, another wrestling topic, and I'm like, you're damn right, more wrestling topic, but just wanted to talk about it real quick. So yeah, pay-per-views tomorrow. As of right now, Wikipedia says there are 6 matches. Wow. Not a big card. That's kind of surprising. It's going to be a short one, unless they add 800 different things on there. So, as of recording right now, we have Liv Morgan versus Carmella in a singles match. We have the Usos versus the Street Profits in a tag team match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. We have Roman Reigns defending his Universal title against the Demon Finn Balor in Extreme Rules match. We have Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss and the Raw Women's Championship. We have a triple threat match for the United States Championship match. Damian Priest, Jeff Hardy, and Sheamus. And then we have the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match of Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. Now, first off, looking at this card, stipulations-wise, there is one Extreme Rules match. This is a big surprise because WWE, when going with these themed pay-per-views, goes like heavy on the like fucking gimmick matches. Like previous Extreme Rules is like, okay, it's a tables match, it's the ladder match, it's a chairs match, it's a fucking no DQ, lights out, bar brawl, whatever the fuck. Only one stipulation match. What? Weird. Very weird. Alright, whatever. So yeah. Going through the order of the matches here. Liv Morgan versus Carmella. Why are we doing this? Why are we having this match? I know these ladies have been fighting each other, obviously, on SmackDown. But that's the point. They've been fighting each other on SmackDown. There's no title on the line. Is there a number one contendership on the line? Okay, if that's the case, fine. Are we just trying to give the ladies more storylines? If so, also okay. Not the strongest one that I know of, but then again, I don't watch the product. I stay tuned on Twitter because of work, so maybe it is a strong title. I don't know. To me, whatever. Glad the ladies are getting their shot. I mean, Carmella's been up in the pay-per-view spot for a while. Glad Liv's getting a shot. Hopefully she can perform. Usos versus Street Profits. Sure, this match is going to be a banger, as the kids say. Sure, that's going to be a good one. I think the Usos got to retain, got to keep their tag team championships, keep the bloodline strong, especially because I think they just recently got them maybe a month ago to kind of complete the trio's gold having ways. So I'm sure it'll be a great one. I don't see the Street Profits going over there. So there's that. Reigns versus the Demon Finn Balor. Now, this one hurts the most. Because on paper, great match. In the ring on Sunday, sure, it's going to be a great match. Now, you're probably like, Bret, what are you talking about? You just said it was a great match on paper and in the ring. Why is this a bad thing? Why does it hurt you so bad? We've already scheduled Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at the Saudi Arabia event, fucking Blood Jewel, whatever it is. That's not the name of the pay-per-view. But the event that's coming up is already carded as those two. Now, does this mean Finn has a 100% chance of not winning this thing? No. But is he going to win this thing? No. Obviously, there's always a chance, but the way that we've built up Roman, the way we have this blood feud and the head of the table storyline going for Roman, it's obvious Roman versus Brock has to happen. Another aspect of that is obviously with Paul Heyman being involved, being the manager for both of them. It creates that element of like, wait a minute, who is Paul really aligned with? So it kind of has to play out. And Saudi shells out big money to get all the big name stars, blah, blah, blah. So you got that factor too. Not that Finn's not a big star, but WWE, we know how they treat people. We'll see. So that sucks. And another reason this sucks is it has to be the demon version of Finn. Now, I get it on one side. On the other side, I am, once again, not salty. Well, yeah, salty. We'll just use that term, salty. Salty because the Demon, is, as far as I know, has been undefeated when showing up on the main roster. Did he lose in NXT? Yeah, that's okay. Main roster, not a big deal. With this whole Brock storyline thing, it seems like a toss-away loss for the Demon. It's like, oh, well, you just kind of shot it in the head before we even got this thing started. The pros. Because we know the lineage of the Demon character and, like, his strength and, like, how Finn does really well when he puts the paint on. It does help boost Roman, or like it makes sense with the head of the table storyline of like knocking off these strong contenders, like knocking off Goldberg, eventually Lesnar, and then now will be Finn, and then other people he's knocked off before. Like, it makes sense. He's taking out all the big names. Okay, whatever. So I'm sure the match is going to be great. I'm sure these guys are going to do very, very well. It'll be very entertaining. I have no investment in it because, once again, we've already announced the Brock match, and that one's pretty obvious that they want to happen. So, toss away, in my opinion. Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. Both ladies are great. We're doing the Hocus Pocus storyline of Alexa Bliss being the Fiend knockoff. Okay. I mean, both ladies can perform. Both ladies are great. I don't really see Charlotte losing here, but if she did, that would be kind of a surprise. Like, it could happen, but, like, is she just going to lose the belt so she can win it again next month to add to her fucking 800th title reign? Okay. So, I'm interested if they're going to do any Hocus Pocus shenanigans in that match, and if so, how that'll play out. Triple threat for the U.S. title match. I'm excited for this. Priest, Hardy, Sheamus. Priest has been killing it on the main roster. I'm really glad that they've actually done fucking things with him since bringing him up from NXT, because we've seen the track record before. Glad he's champ. Glad he's doing this match. Sheamus, I particularly don't care for. I respect what he's done in the ring. I've never been like, oh my god, a Sheamus match. I'm going to sit down and really be invested in this and watch. Yeah, it's just not my style. But Jeff's in it. Yay! Jeff getting a little bit of respect. Maybe after that 24/7 championship run, chasing around thing. Oof. I'm sure all three of these guys are going to put on a great match together. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Hopefully with the triple threat matchup, they play around with the no DQ stipulation, especially being Extreme Rules, and they can have some fun, be creative with that, and go on to it. As for a winner, I'm going to guess Priest retains, but I would totally understand it if they went any of those competitors winning that match. Then we get on to this one, Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. The match we should have got at SummerSlam, or at least teased and not been fucking middle-fingered, at SummerSlam. I'm looking forward to it, because these ladies will do great. A lot of expectation there. They're going to do great. It's going to be a fun match to watch. Both ladies can obviously go. I think it just leaves a sour taste in their mouth from what happened at SummerSlam, of the whole 13 seconds, if even that Bianca survived and Becky got, just steamrolled over. Yeah, that's the only thing. It's just like the sour taste of like how this was made. Of like, oh, Becky's going to come in, she's going to return, hoorah, and then she's going to win the belt immediately. What the fuck? And we're going from here. If this match was put in different circumstances, where Becky comes out at SummerSlam, does her big return, and just does like either a stare down with Bianca, or even a shaking of hands, or whatever, and they built it that way, 100% I would be fully behind this match of like, let's fucking go. But right now, I'm like that 50-50 of like, the ladies will do well. I enjoy both of them. Yeah, but then the storyline is this way and how we got there. Like, that's lingering over my head. So it's like, I don't know if I should be really excited. But yeah, that's Extreme Rules in a nutshell. Like I said, very surprised only 6 matches. And once again, not that many stipulations. Yeah, but hopefully, well, maybe that'll mean it's a shorter show. Or do they add like 2 more matches randomly out of nowhere? Who knows? But yeah, let me know what you guys think of SummerSlam. Obviously, tomorrow is going to be it, so let me know what you thought of it in the comments, and yeah, we could chat about it there. But this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911, and you can catch this podcast live now over on twitch.tv/Enigma911 every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join in the chat if you're a subscriber over there. We'd love to have you. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. It's going to be over on YouTube, broken out topic by topic, and put as one big video on that following Friday for your amusement. And as well as that, on those following Fridays, is going to be put out in MP3 format in full on podcast services around the globe. Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, hopefully soon Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, wherever you need to get it. You can get it over there. Give it a watch, give it a listen. It would be greatly appreciated. And then remember, merch store, guys. Get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand. support us. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today, giving this a watch, giving it a listen. Hopefully with the podcast changes coming up, hopefully you guys enjoy that. But like I said, give me any feedback that you guys do have, either on the current product or how the new schedule's going. Like I said, it'll be trial based. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it works out great. But if not, like always, we'll make adjustments and kind of go from there. But like I said, once again, thank you guys for giving this a watch. Thank you guys for giving it a listen. And we will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.